Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast, episode number 224. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Many of my clients tell me, I tried to organize this and then it just kind of fell apart. Or I just feel like I need a different system for this. This is just not working. Or if only I had a tool like something like a skylight calendar, then everything would be organized and in order. Well, not necessarily. I find that many of my clients are trying to implement systems, but they're doing things in the wrong order. So instead of wasting your time, today we are going to be talking about what I call the 3 phases of decluttering, so we can be sure that we are going in the right order for long-term success. So what do you say? Grab the notebook and pen and let's dive into today's episode. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together. We are going to be starting a new decluttering challenge in the Facebook group starting on Monday. So please be sure to head over to tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Please be sure to answer the 3 membership questions so that you can get approved and we can go ahead and get started. 15 minutes a day, 5 days. We had an amazing challenge this last time around. Lots of progress. Some people are continuing the momentum on their own. And I just know it's going to be a great community for you to join to get that encouragement. So hope you will join us then. Okay, let's talk about these 3 phases. So the first phase, before I get into it, I want to use an analogy. I did not come up with it, but I love it and I use it often, especially when I speak to moms groups. So let's pretend that your kids are of the age that they take baths. Now mine take showers, so it's not as applicable, but let's say they take baths. And the second part is that even though you are leaving them for about a minute or less, they're safe. So I want to make sure, safety first. But the tub is filling with water, they're in there, they're playing, they're having a great time with the bath. And then they start yelling, "Mommy, Mommy, come, we need your help." And you come and there is water all over the floor. There are just puddles. It's just gushing. And you go, "Oh my gosh, I got to clean this up." And so you head out into the hallway and go to the linen closet and you bring every single towel you can find, bring it all into the bathroom, and you're putting towels down on the floor and trying to mop up the water as quickly as you can. But for some reason, it just isn't working. The water is just coming and coming and coming. So what is something that we forgot to check? We forgot to check the tap. And the best way, instead of furiously cleaning up the spills all the time and trying to get the water off the floor, is to turn off the tap. So what does it mean to turn off the tap? Well, when it comes to our homes, it means we have to be really intentional and, dare I say, ruthless about what we are bringing into our homes. That means that perhaps we have a shopping ban on anything non-essential for 30 days, and we're just getting our groceries and our paper products and just the things that are necessary. But there's also, of course, some things that we decide to bring into our homes that are within our control. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're buying something. Let me give you an example. My son, who is turning 8 at the time of recording in 2 days, he had his birthday party this past Sunday. So I had a house full of 8-year-old boys running around. God help me. It actually went okay. But in the invitation, I said, in lieu of toys, Sean would love money to go towards his favorite Roblox games or Lego set or whatever. And I've been doing this now for 3 years. Someone gave me the idea when he turned 5 about doing something called a Fiver, where you're just asking for a $5 bill. If people give more, that's fine. But again, just sort of like putting cash to go towards one thing rather than a bunch of small junky things. So even though normally the culture around us says, oh, okay, we're just going to say, come to the birthday party, and then everyone just kind of brings whatever, a lot of what becomes clutter, we can change the expectation and therefore change what is coming into our home. But also sometimes we don't have much control as to what's coming into our home, but we can at least figure out some constraints around that. Another example is my same son coming home from a birthday party that he attended, and there is a goodie bag. So instead of just having the goodie bag sit on the kitchen counter for days, then we take everything out immediately. And what does he have? Okay, he has stickers and he has a pencil. So that's going to go with our artwork and our craft stuff. The candy is going to go where he has a candy bags still left over from Halloween. Oh boy. Then added to that. And then his quote unquote treasures are going to go in his treasure box. And I've spoken about this before. He makes decisions on what stays and what goes based upon the game love, like, maybe no. We start with what we love, and then when we like, as it gets full, then we make decisions. And he just got some books for his birthday. And he had to make some decisions about books that he hadn't read in a while because of the limited amount of space on the shelf. So those are some examples that when it comes to things coming into our home, for the things that we can control, let's go ahead and put some sort of, shopping moratorium for a bit. And the reason is this leads into our number 2 phase, which is all about understanding the volume that we have so that we can declutter. But first, we need to stop the inflow and turn off the tap. Okay, so for number 2, it is the actual decluttering of your home, understanding the volume that you already have and hopefully not bringing anything you don't need in. And so when it comes to decluttering your home, the question I get the most, where should I start? Well, there's 3 options. We have a choose your own adventure. The first is the most unsentimental, unemotional areas, which is like the quick win approach. That means you can maybe clean out your car, your purse, the pantry, bathrooms, linen closet, very unsentimental, unemotional, doesn't take that much time necessarily, and you get that quick win. The second is what my friend Julia Ubengay calls the stress test, which is the areas that are stressing you out the most. And likely these are things that are being used, rooms that are being used frequently, but sometimes it might be that doom room that you've been kind of putting off, but it's always stressing you out because you can't have anyone stay in the guest room because it's completely full. So that is the second option. And the third option is functionality first, which means the areas that are probably high traffic day to day where you need more functionality in that space, like the kitchen or perhaps the living room. So for the actual brass tacks of how do you go about decluttering, I recommend my transform method. I'll make sure to link to that episode in the show notes. And you want to focus on one category or subcategory at a time for 15-20 minutes at a time. Because the goal of the decluttering is that we're using artificial boundaries to understand and to be able to reasonably manage with our current capacity, the volume of the stuff in our home, okay? And to actually have things in logical places. So one thing that when I'm working with people in person, I'm also doing now some virtual monthly coaching. So if that's something of interest to you, you can always email me at info@simple.emmy.com. We can talk about that. But I've been helping some people in their kitchens, and someone I spoke to the other day, she had mugs in a drawer that were face down. Now, they were right near the coffee station, so logically that made sense. But I said, would it make sense maybe to move those up to the cabinet above the coffee station where you have the coffee and tea, and then we could have more room in that drawer for some of the utensils that you have. So sometimes just being able to think through logically where functionally does this make sense the most to go, then it can help with that feel, function, and flow of your home. And you can understand the volume of stuff that allows you to do the things you need to do to find what you need to find without being overwhelming and actually supporting the life that you want, because that's what it's all about, right? All right, so we're moving on to phase 3. And this is where we actually develop the sustainable habits and systems for you and your family members so that things are going back to their homes and you're actually able to keep things moving along. Now, recently we had an episode 222, my roadblock review, where I talked about looking for areas of friction, frustration, and where you're falling behind. So just asking yourself, okay, what's happening? What's working here? What's not working? Where are the bottlenecks happening in this process or in these, in my days? And it's just really important to do like that assessment and picking some sort of area. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm sure you can think of others. And if there's one that you want to review, come on over to the Facebook group and we can talk through it a little bit more. But again, we want to get to this step not at the beginning, but at the end. After we have stopped as much as we can, the influx coming in, get a handle on the volume of what we have, be able to declutter and have a home that supports us. And now we have the systems in place to support that. So an example is the after school routine. No matter how long I've been doing this with my kids, they get off the bus. I'm like, I'm here. Maybe they want to say hi to me. No. They run right past me, run into the house. They put their shoes down. They put the coats down. They put the backpacks down. And usually it's on the floor. Now, I have been working with them for years now, it feels like, on how to actually get things where they're supposed to be. But it requires repetition and it requires training and then also retraining and then understanding, why is this happening? Why are the shoes going on the floor? Well, if the shoe rack is filled already, that might be a reason. Why aren't they hanging up their coats? Well, maybe they don't want to use hangers, and having a hook that is at a height that they can reach would be helpful. Now, we have those 2 mostly under control as far as hanging up the jackets and putting the shoes where they belong most days, but the backpacks have been an issue. So what I tell them is, okay, the backpacks are not on the floor is lava. We're going to have the backpacks go on the chairs in the kitchen because then we can actually go through the backpacks, right? And so when we have the backpack contents, which for my kids are usually library books, perhaps their notebook or their what they call the Friday folder, which is like the papers we have to review, homework, perhaps an empty snack container. So having all that stuff come out when they come home, being able to see what is what. And then I have a system which will be moving to them shortly. I'm like, they need to really be doing this. But in the meantime, I'm doing it. As far as like empty snack containers, they're going to go in the dishwasher and the papers are going to go into my inbox for me to review later. And the library books go on the bookshelf. All of that is happening within the first 5 minutes of when they're home, when they're having a snack. And then I can kind of review things with them. So that's just one example of a process or a routine in your day where you might have to do that roadblock review and really be like, okay, what's working, what's not working? And then we can tweak the system, tweak and test, and then keep testing until something is hopefully working, but that there's a process involved with everything. And not only that, if you didn't notice, there's a home for everything, right? The snack containers, if they're dirty, go in the dishwasher. They don't stay on the counter. The papers go in the physical inbox. They don't stay on the counter. The library books go to the bookshelf. They don't stay in the backpack or on the counter. So having those places where things can go is an important step that you're going to figure out in that second phase. And then the third phase is the actual real-time system of how it's working. So again, if you are thinking, oh, my system is broken, or gosh, I don't know why my organization system just keeps failing, you're probably starting in phase 3 when you need to be starting in phase 1. So again, the 3 phases of decluttering to phase 1 is to minimize as much as you can what's coming into your home, and being able to do that for what you can control, and also for what you can't control, having those constraints like the treasure box. Remember, turn off the tap. Okay. Number 2, phase 2 is the actual decluttering of your home. And you can choose your own adventure for that, whether you want to do the quick win, the stress test, or the function first as far as where you start. Using the transform method to actually help you through, and really having a sense of the volume of what you have. It's manageable, and there's an actual home for things, not just random spots or piles or whatever. If you're having a hard time finding a home for things, it could be that you have too much, which is likely the culprit, or perhaps you just need a different tool, organizing tool, to help you that's thinking a little bit more outside the box of, oh, I just need a bin. You might need vertical space. You might need to use wall space. Sometimes there are constraints on the actual space in your home. So again, you can come to the Facebook group and we can talk about that if you have any questions about that. Phase 3, that's where we're creating the sustainable habits and systems step by step with you and your family, so that things are getting to the home that they need to get to, or if we're processing paper, that you are doing that on a regular basis, so that that stuff doesn't keep piling up. Now, again, if you want one-on-one support for this, where you and I over a month period are in Voxer, going back and forth, sending photos, sending videos. You also get 2 one-hour calls within the month with me to actually talk through things. You can give me a tour of your home. I got a hour-long tour of a kitchen drawer by drawer, and I was making recommendations on every single drawer in that kitchen, and then giving the person the action plan of how to implement it. If that is of interest to you, go ahead and email me at info@simplebyemmy.com. The virtual coaching is $97 for the month. And you could start with 1 month and see how it goes, and then continue on. And it's just a way I want to be able to support those of you that aren't my neighbors, so that I can help you with these 3 phases of decluttering. So I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Hey Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.